you were successful, somebody along the line gave you some help. There was a great teacher somewhere in your life. Somebody helped to create this unbelievable American system that we have that allowed you to thrive. Somebody invested in roads and bridges. If you got a business, that you didn't build that. Somebody else made that happen.
So I've got President Obama sitting here. So Mr. President, when I was watching the Republican National Convention, I was disappointed. Because I was really hoping for Chuck Norris to come on stage. And I was really hoping for him to throw a few punches in the political arena. That would have been great entertainment. Clint Eastwood clearly wasn't the man he used to be. So Mr. President, what exactly did you mean when you said you didn't build that? So you're saying that and you didn't build that refers to roads and bridges and public infrastructure that we count on government to build and maintain? Okay. So, infrastructure, education, things we want government to run for us. So basically you're saying the groundwork for our lives needs to be provided by others. We need someone else to help us lay that foundation for our successes. Okay, today is Thanksgiving Sunday, and we ought to be grateful. We ought to be grateful for what those that came before us made possible for us, what they accomplished for us. And you referred to that as well. You said somebody helped to create this unbelievable American system that has allowed us to thrive. And how did they do that? One episode that we need to be looking at today is bloodshed. The bloodshed that helped to create this unbelievable American system, and that was the Civil War. Where brother fought brother and sister fought sister, the birthing pains of this nation to grow up and find itself and define itself. And yes, it was your predecessor, Abraham Lincoln, who in 1863 proclaimed this day of Thanksgiving. That's the reason we're celebrating it this week. And Lincoln thanked God for all the blessings. The first thing Lincoln was grateful for was that the nation in civil war wasn't attacked from the outside. There would have been easy victims. But he thanks God that that was not the case, that the international stage didn't intervene and just take over. Lincoln thanked for domestic growth. The population increased, he said, and he thanked God for that. And obviously it was our season of fall right now. He thanked God for the harvest in his proclamation. Saw the presidents after him now. And in the middle of the Civil War, it was also a plea for unity. Didn't you think Romney's concession speech was very graceful? And aren't you glad that looks like after the election now people might come to their senses and are looking at reverting that fiscal cliff? This is a week of national unity. We're pretty much doing all the same things. Thursday, many of us will be sitting in front of the TV and watching parades. How is that a reason for gratefulness? What impresses me about parades is the very last entry in each parade. Very last one. It's usually a garbage truck. They pick up after tens of thousands of people leaving their messes in the roads. The cleanup effort that goes into those is enormous. And the public works that need to work on those holidays, we need to thank our sanitation workers. And Mr. President, I'm sorry you won't get to see your Bears play this week. But when you're all watching your football games, remember those who make all the games possible off-field. Work in the concession stands, ticketing, security, technicians that bring it ultimately to your couches and living rooms. There are many people we can thank for Thanksgiving. And then the inevitable turkey feast. You, Mr. President, will be pardoning one turkey and killing many others for your meal. And before you enjoy all your pies, and before you shall go to the White House garden, there are other farmers out there. Be mindful of those farmers that put food on our tables. Let's thank them for that harvest season that we enjoy. The Pilgrims did that. That's the original root of that holiday. Our denominational ancestors, they thank God for the harvest. The Pilgrims celebrated at Plymouth for 3 days after the first harvest in 1621. And when Pilgrims celebrate harvest, they don't bang their own chests and say what great farmers they are, but they sang hymns pretty much similar to the one we'll be singing later in our service. We plow the fields and scatter the good seed on the land, but it is fed and watered by God's almighty hand. The Pilgrims didn't think of themselves as the best farmers, but they thanked their God to make them survive. And there's certainly a time to celebrate your own contributions. But Thanksgiving is not such a day. Thanksgiving is a reminder that everything is interconnected. When we heard earlier from Scripture, we heard when God said to Adam and Eve, "You shall have dominion over creation." Now he didn't say, "You shall execute dictatorship." No, what he meant is, take care of it. Be good stewards. Mr. President, the American people put you in charge of our national affairs. Jesus put Simon Peter in charge. 3 times he asked him to tend my sheep. Jesus put him in charge of the flock. Tend my sheep. Tend my sheep. And we understand that call to go out to all of us. Every single Christian is put in charge of the church, of the universal church, of all times and places. It's our stewardship that runs the show here. We're in charge of building the church, building our church. And what a great job we've done this year. We've established strong intercultural ministries. We've grown attendance and membership. We've strengthened LGBT ministries. But we didn't do that for or by ourselves. God does that. Oh yeah, we did build that. Happy Thanksgiving.